Hello and welcome back to Indie Rebel VFX, Hollywood effects without a Hollywood budget. I'm your instructor, Chris Temple, and today we're going to talk about sky replacements. This is one of my favorite effects to do. I can use it all the time for just a load of different situations, whether it be trying to match two different camera angles that were filmed on 2 different days. We can use it to help facilitate set extensions and get rid of the background and put, a city or whatever you want behind your actor. And you can use it in the case of what we're going to do today, where you just have a boring blue sky and you want it to be like cloudy and windy and stuff to help match the rest of the scene. And that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you how to add more life and spice to your shots. All right, let's get started with this sky replacement. First thing we want to do is go ahead and read in our footage. We're going to do that by pressing R on the keyboard. And as you can see, I already have my plate set up and converted to a TIFF sequence. Again, I will show you how to do this in a later video, but for right now we'll just go and get going with this. And here we go, press 1 to view it. Alright, now again, we shot this on log on the Ursa Mini 4K, so let's go ahead and press tab on the keyboard and add our log to linear conversion. Alright, and as you recall, we set our black down to 0, our white goes to 834, and our gamma goes to 0.832. And that gives us a nice good image to work with. Now let's go and just play the shot through once and kind of get an idea of what we will be dealing with. So we've got Ruby completing the last portion of her jump from the rooftop, and the sky is just pure blue back here, which actually works out really great for what I want to do, because I want to add some clouds into the shot, because when we're facing the other direction from the roof, we see all these clouds in the sky. So we're going to get rid of the blue clouds and we're going to bring in some clouds of our own. Now looking at this, I can see a few things here. I do notice that the shot does move a little bit around because I was hand holding the camera at this point. So we're going to have to do that. And also, because of the trees over here that are moving, and because of Ruby's hair, as she comes up out of this roll, we're going to have to make sure we do a really good job on our key of the sky. We can't be sloppy with it. If it was just these hard edges here, we could just go ahead and mask it all out. But we're going to go and use a key to replace the sky. So let's go and find a really difficult frame. Probably somewhere like right around here, and that's the shot I want to work with. So to do this, there are some new tools in Natron that came out just within the last couple months that make this real easy to do, and that is through a process known as image-based keying. In Nuke, it's actually called the image-based keyer, or IBK. In Natron, it's called pick, and so let's go ahead and add in 2 nodes that we need to make this work. So if we come over here to our keying options, there is pick and pick color, and I want both of those. So we're going to add pick color and stick that over here. And then I also want to add the pick itself. Okay. We're going to take the source of the pick color, run it into our log to linear conversion. And let's go and view that so we can see what this does. And by default, it's set to C blue, and you can see it's gone ahead and selected all the blue in the shot. Now, I've got a little extra down here, and we'll clean that up here in just a moment, but watch how easy this is. I didn't change any settings on this color selection, right? I had a really nice blue sky to work with, and, there are some other options here that you could do if you needed to do a custom color, but the C blue just works great straight out of the gate. I'm going to now come down here to my pick one. We want to drag the foreground into our log to linear converter, and we're going to drag the C stands for color, into our pick color. And look what happens. Instantly, this starts to clean up really, really nice. Now all I have to do is come over here, make sure my screen type is set to blue, and make sure we've got the pick activated, which we do. So I have screen type set to blue because that matches then what I did over here. If I'd done this as a green screen, I would change this to green. If I did a custom color, you'd go to pick, and so on, but blue works because that's what we did. So let's go back and view the pick. And now all I really need to do is come down here to where it says screen matte, and we'll just go and clip out the black a little bit, because if you can see, there's some noise up here that we don't want. So we'll just go and clip that out of the shot, and that's actually pretty clean. That'll work just fine for what we're looking to do, because when we get back out to the full frame, you can't even tell. And if we throw an alpha back there, you can see just how clean this actually is. By the way, to throw up the alpha, you just click on this little button right here, and you can toggle that on and off. And it gives you your alpha checkerboard that you're used to from other applications. Alright, now I'll show you another way you can actually bring footage and elements into your shots rather than having to read it in and do that kind of a thing. You can also drag and drop. So I'm going to come up here to where I've stored a folder here. I have created my own stock photo library. When I'm out traveling and such, I do a lot of driving. I take photos of things that are interesting. When I see some really nice skies like these, I have to take pictures of them. So let's find one that we like. I think this will match the shot in general really well. It matches with the some of the other angles and camera angles that we have, so we'll use this one. And you can just drag and drop this straight into your shot. Go back into Natron, and away we go. So now we've got a sky. And all we're going to do now is just click on our foreground, press M to add a merge, and we'll just go and move it over here to the center, connect the B input up, view the merge, and now you can see we have an issue. Because if you recall, in one of the earlier videos, I showed you guys how the B input determines the size of your shot. So in this case, because I took this with a 18 megapixel camera, Canon T2i, that image is like 5,000 pixels by 3,500 pixels, and that now becomes the size of the image. So what I need to do is actually shrink this down, and we do that with something called a reformat node. So I'm going to select the sky, press tab, and type in reformat. There it is. And now we see, okay, it reformatted it. It reformatted it, but it reformatted it just a little too much. So come over here, and we're going to choose HD 1920 by 1080. There we go. That's much better. You can see how that fits in quite nicely. Now we can just go ahead and add a transform node, and we can just start playing with this a little bit and choosing which part of the sky we actually want to use. And I'm actually going to scale this up a little bit, maybe like that. And we're going to put this maybe like that. There we go. Just a little bit of clouds in the background. That's perfect. So if you guys want these exact numbers here, my rotation is negative 6.19, my translation is 860 by 569, and my scale is 2.54. That's just to start with. Because what I'm going to do is actually animate this, because this was a windy day, and you can see that when we play through the shot that the trees are moving like crazy here and blowing in the wind. You can see how they're moving and stuff. So the clouds need to move too. We'll stop that. We go to frame 1. And this is a good starting frame. I like that. So what I want to do now is keyframe my translation. And again, we do that just by right-clicking on Translate, and we hit Set Key. Now I'm going to go to the end of the shot, to here. And I just want to move this over just ever so slightly like that. And the keyframe now is set automatically. So let's go ahead and enlarge this by spacebar, press F to fill, and go back to the beginning of the shot and play this and see how this looks. Ooh, I think our sky is moving just a little bit too fast. So we're going to go and slow that down. We're also going to fix some of these issues we've got here. You can see right there and over here. Everything else is looking pretty good. I think the leaves look good over here. Her boot looks good. Her hair looks good. So we need to slow down the sky. We need to track it into the shot because I can see that that is off. And then we need to patch this in on the metal posts here. So let's go ahead and take care of all this. Go ahead and stop. Press spacebar. And we're back here. So let's go back to the last frame. And what I want to do is just on my X, I can use my middle mouse button by clicking in between the 1 and the 0 and just kind of make finer adjustments here with the mouse. And so let's try like that one. It should be almost imperceptible. That's looking a lot better. Let's go ahead and play that. Alright, that's looking a little bit better. I think though I want to change the direction of it just a little bit. It feels like it's kind of going up. And I want to slow it down a bit more, and then I also want it to come down, like more straight, I think. So let's go and fix it one last time. And this is how visual effects works. It's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of saying, okay, does this work? Does this work? If this does not work, why does it not work? And that's really just how the game is played. So let's, again, go back to the beginning, 860. Okay, that's coming down too much. I don't like that as much. I tell you what, sometimes when you do screw up like this, so the best thing you can do is come back over here. We'll clear our ending keyframe. So let's go ahead and remove key. And now I'm going to set a brand new one, and I'm just going to move it only on the X and see, or excuse me, yeah, only on the X and see how that works. So I'm going to come to the X, and we'll scroll down just a little bit here to move the clouds, maybe to there. That's looking better. Go and play that. Much better. There we go. That's a lot more natural. So you can see it hardly moves at all, but it's just enough to add some life to the shot back there and make it seem pretty realistic. And you would never know that it was a blue sky when we shot it at that point. So let's go ahead and fix these glaring issues on the fence, and then we'll track it in the shot, and we'll be able to wrap this up and call it good. All right, so what we need to do now is we want to basically patch this back on top, right? We want to take our original shot here, and that's been keyed, and we want to grab some elements and just throw them right back on top of the image. So it's real easy to do that. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at how we can do this. What I want to do first is I'm just going to add my roto, press O for roto, and I want to just kind of draw an outline right kind of through the top of the shot like that. Zoom out a little bit so I can come down, and we'll close that off. Now I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to add a new merge node. I'm going to connect my B to the keyed shot, and I'm going to connect my A to the original log to lin, okay? If I press Control, I get all these little dots, and I can add a little dot node here. This is going to come in handy for organization in just a minute, because we like to try to line things up and keep things organized. So we're going to do that, and now if I view this, everything looks like normal at that point, right? And now what I want to do is I want to connect this mask input over here to my rotos. So we can do that. Now, look what's happened here. If I disable my roto, you can see the gaps that are there, but because I've rotoed over it, we've been able to fill in that patch right there. So again, let's take a really close look at what's happened. So we had our original shot that I'm essentially rotoing because the roto works with the A input. So by taking my original shot into the A of this merge, I can roto that out. So if I disconnect my background, you can actually see what we've done. We've kept that section, and we merged that on top of our keyed version. So it literally is A over B, our original shot that's masked, over the top of a keyed background, which gets us the clean sky, and that allows us to patch that in like so. I'm going to take my background pieces and move them over here off to the side. I don't want them in the shot quite yet. And we can disconnect this A and move that to that one. I'm going to take my roto and stick it over here off to the side like this. And that just kind of keeps the shot all clean and organized. We can take this now and move these up like that. And I'm going to angle it down a little bit because I know I go left to right, top to down, and that's going to show me that this node, this merge, is more important than this merge. This is the furthest one down. So if I view that, fill the frame, and we have a pretty nice looking shot. Now there's one other thing we need to do, and that is to actually track the sky into the scene. So here's what we're going to do. I haven't shown you guys tracking it. We're going to be using this a lot in this course. Move these over here to make some room. Here's how we track the thing, okay? I'm going to press tab, type in tracker, or just track, and there it is. And I want to hook my source into my log to linear conversion. Let's go ahead and view this. Okay, there we go. And now I'm going to come over here and press the plus sign. That allows me to add a track to the shot. I'm going to take this and put this over here. You can see we get a close-up of what it actually is. We do want to scale that up a little bit, so I'm going to zoom in and use Alt to pan around. There we go. And I want to just scale this by grabbing the corner and making sure that fits on there nicely like that. And we don't want the green in the shot, but I do want to keep some of that. Right, like that. Perfect. And now all we can do, we don't need to track really any rotation, just an up, down, side to side. It's going to work just fine for the shot. So we come over here and we hit track forward, and it'll do that. And then we come back over here, back to our frame where we started. Make sure we're there, and we track backward. Okay, and just like with the birds, then we come into transform. Motion type is match move. Transform type is transform. And we will set the reference frame to 1, that's fine. And hit export with a link. Now if you remember, we actually hand animated the sky a little bit, and we don't want to screw that up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this new transform with tracking data below the transform that I did the sky. I'm going to stick that in line right over here. Source, and there. And what that means is we take the sky, we reformatted it, we animated it, and then we tracked it. In fact, let's rename some of these here just so we can keep track of the stuff. So I'm going to take transform 1, double click that, come up here, we're going to call this animate, and then we're going to double click transform 2 and call this track data. And that just means I can come back to this in a few months and still be able to make sense of what this project actually is. So let's go ahead and view our final merge. In fact, let's even name that here. Final merge. Press 1. Come up to our viewer, press F. And let's check out the shot. Okay, and that shot is looking really quite nice. I think we can call this one done. You know, as you can see, doing a sky replacement is really quite simple, and there's not a whole lot to it. And we could do other things at this point now too, just to get a little creative. Maybe I want to change my sky, so I can come in here and add a color corrector to that. And we can come in and just start, you know, maybe we make it more saturated. We wanted it bluer for whatever reason. Maybe we want it less blue, more of a black and white kind of thing, so we're doing a horror film. Maybe you're on an alien planet and you don't want it to actually be blue, you want it to be something else like hot pink. So we can come down here and change the gain. We can make it purple and, you know, yellow, whatever we want to do. Red, ooh, that can be kind of ominous, right? It doesn't matter. It all does the same thing because we've already pulled the keys, and you can just really get creative and do whatever you want to with it. So that might be something that you guys want to do, is maybe just boost the color of that a little bit. But because of the apocalyptic feel I'm going for, I'm actually just going to go ahead and leave that probably right around there and call that good. Now the very last stage in this process is to undo our log to linear conversion that we started with, because we want to make sure that we convert the sky now into a log space because it's linear to start with. So we just go and take our log to lin, Control C, Command C if you're on a Mac, and paste it and drag it down here to the bottom of our shot. Let's go and pan down and take our source, connect that to the final merge. Now we view the log to lin, double click the log to lin, and we just come up here and invert it, make it linear to log. And as you can see, everything's been converted down. And if I look at our original shot with 2, there we go. And if you look, you can see that this sky is actually no longer a part of it. In fact, using this little widget here, I can wipe through and you can see before and after that our log to linear matches perfectly, and we're ready to now take this into a color grade. All that's left now is to write this out to disk, and we're ready to move on to the next shot.